Hello and welcome to another Cheeky Scientist news show. I'm Isaiah, and today I want to start by talking about what I think, other than AI, will be the biggest story of 2024, and that is how to write a resume headline. Because of AI, writing a resume has become really an art. You have to simplify your resume much more than you had to in the past. And for a lot of us that are coming out of academia, this is the opposite of what we're taught to do in academia, where we're taught to be more comprehensive, more complex, shrink the margins, get as much on the page as possible. And then we stick to these rules of writing that have been around for decades, right? So for a cover letter, we have to write a 3-paragraph essay or a 5-paragraph essay. Not the case, right? We've talked a lot about the T-shaped cover letter on this particular news show. And we've talked a lot about different types of resume formats, such as functional resumes that group things together by functions. What we see now, and what this article talks about in the ladders, it's titled Writing Great Resume Headlines and Summaries with Examples. I'll read some of these examples to you. Is that you have to get a headline, a big, bold statement at the top of your resume, underneath your contact information, just a few words, 14 to 16-point font. And the job title you're applying to needs to be in your contact information too, or in this headline. Okay, so it talks about this, what is a resume headline, why it's important. Think about your LinkedIn headline, right? We're going to see in 2024, we're going to see a lot of merging of LinkedIn with your resumes, and what's working on LinkedIn is going to work on your resume and vice versa. This is because the AI systems, when you upload your resume, they're automatically scanning your LinkedIn profile. They're going to be looking for the same thing. So what's exactly going to happen? I think resumes are going to all have to be one page, possibly less, in the near future. But for now, we're going to have these big, bold headlines. And so it talks about, using adjectives, include the role if you can, and the level of the role. So senior scientist, innovation manager. Align it with the position, of course. Edit it for every single application. Don't have the same headline like you do on LinkedIn. Like everything else on LinkedIn, it has to appeal to all people that might find you on LinkedIn, all employers, but your resume needs to be targeted. Make it concise. Use title case, right? So capitalize the first letter of each word. Incorporate keywords and avoid overused phrases. So the example it has here is, award-winning editorial photographer, creative deputy chef, senior researcher and project manager, proven senior communications manager, right? Highly organized hospitality director. So it's giving a broad range of headline examples for different types of careers. It talks about those for specific industries as well. It's a great article. I check it out. Depending on what you want to do, you got to think, okay, what's my unique selling proposition in the job market? That should be your headline. And the way to come up with your unique selling proposition, the best formula is, okay, what's something transferable and something niche? Maybe there's a high-level lab technique that you can do, and that's really required in the job posting. Maybe you're a structural biologist, right? Maybe you're protein purification. Maybe it's liquid chromatography. Maybe you have a qualitative background, so qualitative research or mixed methods, right? Ethnography. You take that and then combine it with something that has broad appeal and cross-functional collaborator and excellent project manager and highly organized, great at, and regulatory affairs. You want to bring those two things together, make them specific for the job role. That's your headline, 14 to 16-point font. Try to make it 7 words or less. There's some great articles that came out, a couple by Fast Company, a couple by Forbes, specifically on where the job market's headed in 2024. This one's in Fast Company, and it's talking about what you can expect to impact your job search the most this year. Upskill to adapt to changing job requirements. All about skills. We've talked a lot about it on this show too. You can't just lean into your degree, but it's the skills your degree gave you, and then you got to constantly keep on the forefront of the nomenclature of the skills. You want to learn the skills too, or at least have an understanding of them. You can't get on the job experience though until you're on the job. So the skills, a big part of it is just learning them, learning the new language of things. That's what you need to understand. A lot of us think that skills is something that you can only do on the job. It's not. You can learn a lot about a particular skill, how they are integrated. You can increase your knowledge base in a particular field. That's what they mean by upskilling. Personal branding, extremely important. What are they finding about you online? What does your digital footprint show? Not just what you're showing them on LinkedIn, but they're going to do a deep dive into every account you've ever owned online, everything you've ever said online. What is your brand? What are you talking about the most? Who are you presenting to the world, professionally and personally? There's no boundaries there anymore, not online anyway. And then, of course, the AI-powered job search. You need to start using AI to get an advantage, not even just to get to an advantage anymore, but to stay competitive. You got to be using AI. You have to be getting better at prompts to make sure your cover letters, resumes have the information that they need. They're not going to be able to tell your personal story. You still have to tell them who you are, what your actual hobbies are, who you really are as a person, but you got to be able to look for those finer points in terms of what skills you might be missing, how to compensate for them, and OpenAI, other AI platforms can help you with that. The other Fast Company article that just came out, how to make the most of these 3 important resume trends. So emphasizing soft skills, that's a transferable skill. Every bullet point on your resume should start with a transferable skill. That's your anchor. That's the language that the hiring managers use. You can't just start it with jargon. You can't just have a bunch of niche skills on your resume. That's why you're not getting through. Did you ever notice how all of the skills on a job posting, all the words, minus the niche skills, have the same language, the same lingo, the same feel to them? Technical literacy, right? Digital literacy, change management, project management, cross-functional collaboration, regulatory acumen, risk mitigation. Where does this language come from? It sounds fancy, but at the core, it's not. It's just this polished corporate speak that hiring managers learn, right? Many times when they get their degrees, very common degrees are communication degrees for hiring managers at the bachelor's level, associate degree level, and they go to conferences to continue to learn these words. That's their skills. They want to see that. If they see that, they're like, I get this. They understand. Then you can talk about your high barrier to entry skills. Number 2, focus on outcomes. Every bullet point has to end, right, with a quantified result. That's a non-negotiable. Number 3, again, AI tools, okay? You have to be using AI tools to scan your resume, your entire resume. OpenAI, other AI platforms are getting much better. They can scan your entire resume, the entire job posting. They can see what might be off. You may not be able to fill all the gaps, but you can get a lot more insights much more quickly thanks to AI. So you got to master it. Generative AI should be on your resume too, in the skills section. Great article by Forbes, 4 pivoting tips to successfully change careers in 2024. So if you're getting into your first industry career outside of academia, or you want to get into a career that you've never had before, you've never actually been in that job title, this is a great article, talks about adapting to the industry market. That's really number 1, right? You have to understand, where is the market headed? What's changing with the nomenclature, like I talked about earlier? Mixed methods, I used that example earlier. That wasn't used very much a few years ago. Now it is, right? If you have a quantitative and qualitative background. What job titles are trending? How are they changing? What keywords are they looking for? The cross-functional collaborator, one of the most popular keywords. 10 years ago, it wasn't there, right? So what about in your specific niche field? What's wanted? What's contracting? User experience research roles were wildly popular a couple of years ago, wildly abundant. They've contracted sharply as the tech contraction happened with all the layoffs. Do you know where the market's headed? Upgrade your skills proactively. Sounds like a broken record. Leverage transferable skills. Again, broken record. They're all saying the same thing. What's going to happen in 2024? It's going to be all about skills, in particular transferable skills. And then on here, position yourself as a problem solver. This is something we talk a lot about too. The company has a job opening because they have a problem. How are you going to solve that problem? Do you even know what that problem is? Do you know why they have the job available in the first place? They'll ask you that on an interview. Do you know why we have this job opening? Why did you apply to this job? They want to know a lot of whys. So make sure that you really dig into those and understand those. Another Forbes article, 3 secrets to make your resume stand out in 2024. Use keywords that are on the job description. Okay, nothing wildly new there. Effectively ask AI for help. Send your resume to the right people. Don't just click the easy apply button. A lot of the same themes, right, for all of the articles about what to do in 2024. I want you to pay attention to those themes. Now, 2 last things I want to talk about, right? What if things are not going well? What if you're not getting hired? And then what are some of the key transferable skills? Lots of examples coming up. This is a great article from the Harvard Business Review. Why aren't you getting hired? And I like that it breaks it into 2 different problems, right? Number 1, you're not landing any interviews. Okay, you're applying for jobs, sending out resumes, not hearing back. And number 2, you're getting interviews, but no job offers. It's a distinct point. It's a shift. So you can really isolate, okay, I'm not getting enough interviews. That's my main problem. Or I'm getting interviews, but I'm not getting any job offers. Now, if you're not getting interviews, you have to research hiring trends in your industry. Okay, what's happening? How are you positioning yourself? Again, this really comes down to nomenclature. Are you using the right words, the right skills? Are you communicating your value appropriately for where you're trying to get hired? Likely not, or you'd be getting interviews. And it says that specifically here too. Use the language of your industry. And then show, don't tell, right? Talk about what you've accomplished. Don't just talk about the things that you've done. Don't look like you're just trying to compensate for a lack of doing things by talking about all these job duties or how much time you spent in a field. 10 plus years of experience in XYZ field. It's a very common sentence at the top of a lot of resumes for people coming out of academia. Don't do that. If you can't land the job offer when you're getting interviews, read up more on the company, really deep research into the company, and get really good at telling a story. Right? This is going to become more and more important with the rise of AI. We have to be able to tell our personal stories in a very engaging way, tell anecdotes, things that we've learned, how we've solved problems in the past. This is why behavioral questions are so big going into this year. And then, once again, showcase your soft skills, transferable skills. You have to really lean hard into the fact that you can work cross-departmentally with many people. You have to really lean hard on the fact that you can look ahead to what could go wrong, right? We call it potential pitfalls in academia. It's risk mitigation, risk management. Writing your resume when the job title doesn't reflect responsibilities. I had to point out this article too. I think it's really relevant for this year. Harvard Business Review article again. Applying for a position at a much higher level than your current title. It says it says you have to really zero in on what you're going to do at a higher level with people. Okay, so how have you managed people in the past? How have you led from the side? Right. Talk about managing junior staff or mentoring people. Talk about overseeing resource allocation and budgeting, resolving unexpected issues in a timely manner, collaborating with colleagues, identifying opportunities for improvements. That's what it says to lean into. Okay, now if you're trying to get a job in a new industry, it has slightly different advice, right? It talks about how you've helped accelerate growth. You want to talk about how you have established functions from scratch. That's really important, right? If you're trying to get into a new role and provide evidence that you can do well in that new role, you need to provide evidence that you can establish new functions, learn things from the ground up on your own, learning autonomously, creating order out of chaos, presenting a clear picture of what things are going on and how to improve them. And then again, being equally adept at both managing people and operations. So a slightly different shift. Okay, so the main point is if you're trying to get into a higher level, you really want to talk about how you can manage people, how you can bring things together, right? How you can see things and allocate resources. If you're trying to get into a new role for the first time or get into industry for the first time overall, you got to talk about how you can do things from scratch, how you can see things clearly and understand operations and learn autonomously. See the difference? You're building the case for each of those different situations. I love this article, 50 transferable skills for teachers. For teachers, this is by Christine Carter. And if you have a high-level degree in academia, you are a teacher, and these transferable skills are going to really resonate with you. And I think it's a great list of 50 of them that all of you watching this can use. Okay, and they pulled a lot of data here on what's working well with today's AI resume filters. I approve of all of these. Adaptability, advising, mentoring, agile methodology, it's just a type of project management, analytical thinking, assessment and evaluation, budgeting, collaboration, collaborative tools, communication skills, conflict resolution, continuous learning, creativity, crisis management, critical thinking, cross-cultural communication, curriculum design, customer service data analysis, customer relationship management, emotional intelligence, e-learning development, digital literacy, that's a big one, global perspective, graphic design skills, instructional design, leadership, networking, organization, presentation skills. I'm not going to read all of them, a few more. Problem solving, project management, public speaking, remote collaboration, remote teaching skills, mentorship, virtual training, virtual management, video editing, tech integration, team building, strategic planning. A lot of great skills there. We see a lot of those trending up too. Make sure you're talking about your transferable skills and your outcomes, okay? Focus on making your resumes simple this year. Add a headline to the top of them. Okay, draw a line between, are you struggling to get interviews or are you struggling to get job offers? Are you looking to elevate in terms of the job title you want to get into? Or are you trying to break into an industry for the first time? This takes us to the end of today's news show. As always, stay current and keep advancing in your career.